supporters of Dave's Tackle Box.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Dave's Tackle Box on Sunday the 5th of May 2013. And it's actually, somewhat surprisingly, going to be quite a busy and varied show tonight because it wasn't looking that way earlier. I don't know what it is this week with VTTV presenters and real life getting in the way, but let's just say that large parts of this show are going to be improvised, but we've got some ideas. It's going to be okay. I've got an update from Switzerland, which I know is the only reason anybody ever tunes in to this show. You laugh now, but when I've got the Emmy, you know. I've got a new toy. I've got a new toy that it basically involves removing crud. So, you know, it was a must. It was a must. I took some advice from Sav and I bought a gadget, and we're going to be taking a look at that. But the best thing that's going to happen tonight, more than likely, hopefully, is I'm going to be joined by Dave Dorn a little bit later, and I'm going to kill two birds with one stone, basically, because I haven't got a clue what's happened with the EU and stuff like that this week. It's just been crazy busy this week, and so I'm going to sort of, with a thinly veiled attempt to make it look like I'm playing devil's advocate and playing dumb, I'm actually going to be totally dumb, and he's going to tell me what's going on. But as ever, we always start with the titles. Roll VT. Yeah, so as I say, it's been quite a hectic week again as usual, doing the Monday flying out thing and the Thursday flying back. And while you lot are probably staying in bed tomorrow morning, the vast majority of you, to enjoy your bank holiday, I'll be on a 6:30 taxi out of here. And I'm really happy about that. Because on the continent, they don't celebrate May Day on the following Monday. In fact, they never celebrate their public holidays on the Monday following. They tend to celebrate them on the day they fall, even if that's a Saturday or a Sunday. So May the 1st was Wednesday, which is Labour Day throughout most of Europe and Switzerland. It was, you know, there was four of us basically in the office. There were 3 Brits and a Canadian Maltese guy. So I had to work, and I'm going to work tomorrow. So, well, I didn't have to work, but as I was there, I thought I might as well get paid for it. But I did find a little bit of time to film some stuff, well, I might as well show it now, mightn't I? So this is part 3. This is week 3 of the Swiss Diary. Here we go. It's the 1st of May, which is a public holiday in Switzerland. But I worked it, because if I don't work it, I don't get paid. And if I've got to stay here, I won't pay. So there were just a few of us in the office, so we're a little bit more casually dressed than normal today. But I'm back at the hotel now, and I've started to fall into my little routine. Normally now, when I get back from the hotel, the first thing I do is take the top section off this eVod with its little 650 milliamp hour battery and put this on charge, and attach the eVod, the top bit, to the MVP, which is now lives at 5 volts. Switch it on and vape. And as you can see, it's still working, though I have noticed a slight problem today with this. In fact, it started yesterday, but I was just too lazy to do anything about it, and it's starting to get like kind of burnt taste, and especially on the little 650 milliamp hour battery, which I'm guessing puts out something between 3.3 and 3.7 volts. I don't know which, but I'm having to basically keep my finger on the button until it hits its 10-second cut-off or whatever it is, before I get any concept of a throat hit or anything like that. So I think probably it's time to change the coil in this cartomizer. There goes the tram. You could probably hear it. So that's what I'm going to do, is see how easily I can change the coil on this and set it up with my travelling light vaping kit. So first thing I'm going to have to do is empty the contents of this down the sink. There's not much in there. It was due for a top up anyway. So I'm going to do that first. Just in case anybody was wondering why I emptied that out, when it's actually this sort of cap section that I need to be messing with. It's so I can put this down without juice spilling anywhere, because I haven't really got anywhere to stand it. So there's only a bit of juice left in there, so I tipped it. Simple as that. Right, so let's see if we can replace this coil, because I haven't done it before. Doesn't look hard. Right, so I am working at a slightly awkward angle here. But basically the eVod cartomizer comes into 2 parts. You've got this, the top bit that the juice goes in, the tank bit if you like, and then of course there's this, which is the coil which screws into the cap. So you've got this like knurled bit which makes it quite easy to get a grip on and just drop out like that. Now I've been using that not every day and not all day every day, but for a couple of weeks. So and I'm guessing that's why the performance of the cartomizer is starting to fall off a bit. So I'm going to change it. In my little sort of case of bits that I brought with me, I have somewhere the bag of replacement heads that came with the eVod starter kit. So let's open this up and see what we got. So I've just put my glasses on so I can see if they're all the same. I don't know if they're different sort of resistances or anything like that, because I did no research on this product whatsoever before I bought it. They all look pretty much the same to me, which in some ways is good, because it means I don't have to make a decision. Anyone will do. So I choose this one. All I need to do, theoretically, is screw it into this base cap, whatever you want to call it, and make sure it's good and tight. I did notice that somehow this was working loose on the old one. I guess it must just have been from undoing the cap to fill it. It must have been working itself loose that way. Didn't cause me any problems. Just noticed it when I was refilling that this was needed a tighten. So I'm going to give it a good tighten this time. I'm just wiping the juice away from the base, and that's ready to go. So I just need some juice. And if you watched my show on Sunday, you might remember this little bottle where I twist off the orange cap and twist on the green nozzle, and then I've got something that fills this very well indeed. So I'll try and do this on camera, but I need to make sure I don't overfill anything. So I need to make sure I can see what's going on. That looks to be somewhere near as full as I dare. So I'll just take my cap with the new head and screw it in there. I'm quite pleased that I managed to do that without making too much mess. There's a little bit of juice on the outside of this from where I emptied it out, but essentially that should work. Now, when I first got this thing and I took my very first drag on an eVod ever, the first couple of drags tasted a bit burnt, so I'm guessing that I didn't let it stand long enough for the juice to get into the coil through these little wicks. So I think what I need is just give it a little shake and let it stand for a minute or two while I put all my bits away, because I am quite impatient. Off with the green nozzle, on with the orange cap. These haven't leaked a drop, by the way, packed into my case. I've been carting them round in a plastic bag, the 2 bottles of juice, so I'd know if any had escaped because it would be in the bag, and there isn't, so it's all good. So I'll keep these 4 good coils in the plastic bag that they arrived in, put those back in my little case there, and if I'm getting through one of these coils every couple of weeks, then that bodes quite well, really. So like I say, I'm not using them all day every day or anything, because, well, basically because I can't. If I could openly vape where I am, I'd be using Genesis, I guess, so of some description. But we can get rid of that. I reckon that's stood for long enough now. Let's just clean up the e-liquid. The cleaner will get upset. And onto the MVP. And give it a go. Right, here goes. So this is set to 5 volts because that's where I've decided I like it. It's had, I don't know, probably about 5 minutes by now for the refill of juice to soak onto the new head. Let's see what happens. And yeah, it is a little bit dry again, so it obviously takes a little bit of time to seep through to the coil. Shake, see if that helps. Don't know if it will or not. But as I say, the first one was like that. It was like quite dry, there's not much flavour coming through. I wouldn't say it's burned. It doesn't taste burned. The old one did a bit, but that's gone now. That's history. But it's not as full flavoured as it should be. But I know from the first one, which was exactly the same, that will come, you know, with use. So give it an hour or something, I'm sure it'll be doing just fine. So I'm going to kick back for a bit, watch a bit of telly, BBC World News, and because it's the only English speaking stuff they got, and then I'll venture out for some food. See you in a bit. Now, you may have noticed in amongst that some of the footage is getting a little bit repetitive, and my camera software's just crashed again. How good of it. Yes, some of the footage from Solothurn in Switzerland is getting a little bit repetitive, and there's a reason for that, and it is essentially a very boring place. There's like, if you point the camera in sort of one direction away from the town or in the old medieval bit, it is very picturesque and very nice, but mostly it's very boring. And I don't mean very boring as in the guy in chat who watches VTTV. I mean it's very boring. There were a few comments during the showing of that VT I'd like to pick out. I think it was Big Craig said that it reminds him of Govan in Glasgow. Well, I could have pointed the cameras at places that would remind... I know, I've been to Govan, I know Govan, and I can tell you that there are places in Solothurn that are quite reminiscent of Govan, actually. Few less Scottish guys around, but you know, but they look very similar. The place is very concrete. It looks like... I would have compared it to Coventry parts of it. Other comments that came up were the very nice bog paper. Yes, it's not bad, you know, and on account of it doesn't cost extra, you know, I will use as much of that to clean my vaping gear as I need. Somebody called Jeff wondered what the cleaners might find when they found bits of bog roll with pleasant smells in the bin. And the first thought that went through my mind is the job those guys do, that's probably not the worst thing that they come across. Winter Rogue, you're forgiven for being late. Enjoy the corner. And then there was one actual sort of genuine useful comment from chat during all of that, and it was made by both Tracy Collins and Ed West actually, and they're saying when priming the EVOD cartomizer, the new coil, when you put it in, take a couple of dry pulls on it and that should be enough to prime it. So that sounds rather sensible. I'll give that a go next time. And there was another question as well asking if they're as good as the iClear 30. The iClear 30 being the Innokin thing, clearomizer. Now, I haven't tried the iClear 30, and I know it's supposed to be a big improvement on the original iClear, because I bought the MVP kit. You saw the MVP in that video, and the iClears that came with that, the first one, I thought it was quite good for the first day or two, and then it just sort of got all sort of, I couldn't get a decent drawer out of it, got very tight and it just didn't work, and I never bothered using the second one. But I do understand that the iClear 30 is a vast improvement on the original iClears. So I can't really answer how well it compares with the EVOD. I mean, the EVOD, it's okay. I got it here. I just charged the battery and got it filled up ready for the morning, because after the show it's a quick sort of flick around, get everything closed down, things up to YouTube and Blip and what have you, and then I'm gone. So that's ready for the morning, and it's okay. I mean, I've been using this is the AGI, but earlier on I was using the Fagatti, and you know, when you've been dragging on that all day and you try that, then there's no comparison. But it's serving me quite well. I've used it for 2 weeks out there now, and it's getting me through, and it'll do the job. So I think as far as it goes, it's a decent piece of kit. I genuinely do. Now, there was one other comment in chat there that I thought was worthy of mention, and that was talk of Gary Dibley's lathe. Now, I did manage to catch most of the show on Monday night, after he'd uploaded it to YouTube, because he broadcast it with settings that you couldn't watch on the iPad. But he's fixed that now. But I waited for him to upload it to YouTube and watched it. And that lathe is a fantastic piece of kit. And, you know, far be it from me to take advantage, but I have drawn up a list of things that I'd like. So I'll be sending that to you after the show, Gary. Thanks. Right, so it's time for us to take our first break. So we're going to go into that now. And when you come back, we should have Dave Dorn with us. So see you in a bit.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box. Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
And welcome back. And this week, unlike when I had Andy on the show the other week, I've actually set up the webcam. So we're both in shot, Dave. Well, I think we're both in shot. You seem to have disappeared behind a slight wall of vapour.
Yes, that's because I'm using something decent.
Yes, something decent is always good. How are you doing anyway, mate?
I'm wrecked.
Yeah?
I'm wrecked.
Are you gardening?
I have spent so much time reading legalese this last week that my little head, all my hair's dropped out.
I was going to mention that, but probably when you least expected it. You were moving slabs earlier as well, I gather.
Yeah, let's not go into that.
At your age, you want to be careful doing stuff like that, buddy.
You're a cheeky sod sometimes, Kitson.
Well, you know.
I'll have you know, according to certain members of our viewership, I look younger now than I did when we were doing it on Ustream. So there.
That's considering it's now in high definition. That's quite a compliment, isn't it?
It is actually, yes. It is. It's a hell of a compliment.
I quite like the anonymity of Ustream, to be honest with you. It could have been anybody, couldn't it?
It was difficult to make us out, it has to be said. It was all brought back when I was watching Mr. Sutton's stuff on Saturday. Quite amazing.
I caught up with it this morning because I was out at the pictures last night. So I watched Andy's show earlier on today, and I was riveted to that. It was brilliant, wasn't it?
It's the good old days, remembering 901s and 510s and 801s and 084s. And
the funny thing is, we've all still got them.
I know.
Because we never throw them away.
I seek some out, and then I thought, nah, I've got Genesis atomizers. Why do I want to mess about?
Well, you very kindly agreed to join me tonight. Not at all because I was short of material, but because we had some really sort of pressing topics to discuss, didn't we? And in all seriousness, one of the big stories of the week, and I'd actually forgotten that I actually called into VT Talk the other night. And
nice to know I've made such an impression.
Well, you know, I did it of my own free will, you know. I kind of forgot. But one of the things that we were talking about on Wednesday night was this document, this discussion document. What do they call it?
Yes.
A draft opinion that's come from the jury committee, and obviously it's caused a little bit of a stir. Yeah, that's the thing. Draft opinion of the Committee on Legal Affairs. So jury are the sort of legal committee of the EU. So where you've got Envy, who have thought up this daft idea with the including these NCPs in the Tobacco Products Directive, the thing that we're all kicking up against. Jury are the people who say basically whether it's got any legal basis and whether the EU should be daft enough to stick its neck out on this kind of thing, really. They need a rubber stamp, really, from jury, don't they, to be sure that they're not going to get shot down in court?
Well, pretty much. It goes off to the jury committee. The jury committee discusses it. Then the rapporteur, in this case, Klaus-Heiner Lehner, who is apparently a very nice man, he diddles off and does what Linda McCavan did with what they got from the commission, the proposal. He produces a document, and then that goes back to the jury committee, and it is discussed. Now, my contacts in the EU Parliament, and these are MEPs, so they know, that what they are telling me is it's most unusual for one of these draft opinions to get through on the nod. Generally, some amendments will be made.
Right, right. So, and it is a draft, isn't it? I guess the clue's in the title, really, isn't it?
It is, yes, yes. It's a draft opinion. It has to be discussed by the jury committee. And once it has been discussed, it will then be sent to the Envy committee with whatever amendments jury thinks Envy ought to take on board.
Yeah.
Now, in a sensible world, you'd have kind of said, well, we've thrown it off to the legal beagles, and the legal beagles have said, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do the other. Here are the amendments you need.
And let's be honest, what that document is suggesting is that it hasn't got a legal leg to stand on.
Well, that's basically the case,
yeah.
Yes. The problem is, of course, that the Commission is so hidebound that it's not unknown for the likes of the Envy Committee or the Agri Committee or whichever committee that's putting through one of these things to go, well, yes, we hear what you're saying and we thank you for advice, but no, we're not going to follow what you say. We're going to press on anyway and take it to court and let the courts decide. So that's a possible outcome. It's unlikely that the draft report will get through as it stands. One would hope, against all hope, that they'll see sense, and everywhere that it says deleted stands. I think, however, the bulk of the shenanigans and argy-bargy will be to do with standardised packaging and stuff like that. And reading through all of that, again, you know, it makes sense to me, but then I might be slightly biased because I don't have a problem with people buying cigarettes. I have no more problem with that than I do with people buying e-cigs. So it's kind of the way it goes, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, and that's worth stating because I mean, it's a matter of opinion. A lot of people who've taken up using e-cigs or vaping or personal vaporizers, whatever the hell you want to call them, are quite sort of anti-cigarettes now, and that's true. But I know you're not, and I want to stress the point that I'm not. I see it as a matter of free choice. I might consider it not to be a good choice, and and I've chosen not to. But I'm opposed to just about every part of the TPD, frankly.
Oh, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if it never existed and the who'd never come up with the FCTC, I'd have been just as happy. The one thing I really can't stand is control for the sake of control. Education and advice, yes. Education on how to avoid risk, yeah. It's like kids, if you think about it. If anybody, not just a kid, but if anybody steps blithely off onto the main road, then you're taking your life in your hands. It's a gamble as to whether a car's coming or not. But if you learn how to do it with the minimum of risk, look right, look left, look right again, if there's nothing coming, listen, blah, blah, all of that, green cross code, all of that kind of stuff, you learn how to do it with the minimal possible risk. It's still not 100% safe, but there's no law to say that you can't just step off the curb and go. And to me, whether it's e-cigs, whether it's traditional cigs, cigars, tobacco, mountain climbing, skiing, tobogganing, I don't care what it is. As long as you know what the risks are, if you want to do it, do it. But that's me. I mean, I know a lot of people are different. But that's my take on it.
It's my take too. But I would be, Yeah, with my tongue only slightly in cheek, I'd say, be careful, Dave. You'll give them ideas.
Well, yes, to be honest, I'm being very careful about how I word absolutely everything these days, because as we've discovered over the last few months, well, more than few months, you have to be very careful how you word things. And I might be putting a few backs up on Twitter as of tonight, and comments I might have on another piece of video we were talking about earlier might also get people's backs up. But that's born out of experience and having seen the way our words are used against us so often.
Yeah.
We were going to try and keep this light, weren't we?
We were, and for us, it probably still is.
Well, yes,
so
absolutely.
far. Yeah. So I mean, so I guess just to summarise on that point, then is the jury draft opinion document, whilst encouraging, and I don't think we said, just in case anybody isn't aware, their suggestion was to remove NCPs from the TPD. It basically just said deleted. That's we're just urging a little bit of caution and people not to get too carried away there, because jury, that is not the considered opinion of the jury committee. It's a draft opinion it's a discussion document. Even if they don't change it, it doesn't mean that Envy have to adopt it.
Unfortunately true. Unfortunately true. But, you know, fingers crossed. Thing to do, of course, is to do what we've been doing. Write to them.
Indeed.
Right. Keep writing. Tweet them. Write to them and tweet them. Tweet them and write to them. Email them. Go and camp outside their offices. Talk to them. Yeah.
I saw Andy had organised another vapor mail last night. That's a good way to do it.
Yes.
And again, you know, I said this before, if you can get time in real life to meet your MP, go see him. There was a story in the Sun today. I saw it through a link on UK Vapors, just in case anybody thinks I buy the Sun, in which David Cameron is allegedly dropping any discussion and plan. Apparently, the Queen's speech was supposed to include something about legislation for plain packaging on cigarettes. I don't know whether you saw this story, Dave.
I did, yes.
And they've asked that to be taken out now. Now, I don't think that's actually got much to do with the TPD. That seemed to be something that the British government were doing of their own accord, and they've lost their stomach for it. The way it seems to have been billed is they're concentrating on the things that matter. But I suspect it's probably politically a little bit deeper than that at the moment.
Well, apparently, my information is they have been made aware by one of their financial think tanks and the Legal Beagles together. The Legal Beagles have said that there's not much danger of the tobacco corporations being unsuccessful when they bring the lawsuit for misappropriation of intellectual property, because obviously they can't put their branding on a plain package.
Absolutely, and we do actually exist in a free market, supposedly.
Exactly right. So if they go ahead with that, then the tobacco companies will take them to court, as they have done in Australia, and that's ongoing. But the legal opinion that the government has received apparently says they will lose, i.e. the government will lose, and it will cost them between 3 and 5 billion, with a capital B, pounds, in order to settle the damages. And at the moment, I don't think the government can afford that, because, and I hope they don't try to afford it, because that comes out of the taxpayer's pocket, and that equals you and me and everybody watching this show.
That's what people tend to forget when they complain about government spending, isn't it? Is where it comes from. But you know, but you know, maybe just another little message, even if it wasn't directed to the Envy Committee. It's a story that they won't fail to pick up on, that the British government has just dispensed with it. There's a suggestion, there's an idea, of course, that they can drop this and then say, oh, Europe made us do it, but I suspect that it really is dropped as far as the British are concerned, and I'm starting to get a little bit of confidence that our health minister is not going to be supportive of this when it comes up in Brussels.
Mr. Hunt,
indeed.
Yes, I'm
with
not
the
so
stuff
sure
that he's
about
fed by the likes of Anna Soubry as well. Yeah,
I'm not sure about her. I'm not sure about her.
I think she's just towing the line, but it's starting to look like she's been steered in the right direction, frankly.
One would hope so. One would hope somebody has had a cowboy boot and has rectally inserted it so that she understands what she's being told.
Yeah, I mean, you would hope so. But you know, I mean, regardless of your politics and what the long-term implications are, there's a good chance that the British government isn't going to go along with much from Europe, especially if it's unpopular in the coming months, I would suggest, especially after the election results on Thursday.
Oh Lord, yes. I mean,
so, you know, you can worry about the long-term arguments, whatever your personal politics and thoughts are. But as far as this is going, they look like they're starting to line up a little bit more in our favour than they were anyway.
I do believe that the ducks are beginning to fall into line behind Mother Duck, yes.
That's got to be the hope.
One can just hope that the line is long and very, very straight.
Indeed.
It's been very encouraging, actually, to see the various different MEPs that have taken to the likes of the Twitter and are professing support for the cause of the e-cig. I mean, it's so gratifying and so marvellous.
It is, doesn't it? And it gives you a small feeling of accomplishment, even though we haven't accomplished anything yet. It gives you a little bit of hope, if you like, and a little bit of satisfaction that you can be heard by sticking together and doing these kind of things. We're being heard, and that's a beautiful lead-in to the Smoke Without Fire campaign.
Indeed.
I've got. I reported last week we've made our target, our initial 10 grand. It's gone a bit higher. It was 15 grand. Is that a live feed? That's
the live feed onto the Facebook site. Yes.
Yeah, and it was at £15,050 when I looked just before I came on here. In actual fact, I can check it. I can't share the screen with you, but I can check it now. Yeah,
I shall try and do exactly that.
A little refresh. Yeah, 164 backers. £15,050 raised with 20 days to go, and it's just brilliant. It's fantastic. But you know, as Andy has said, you know, if more money comes in, he can use all of it. He can get a better result. I'm just going to play the little inline ad that he sent across last week, just to remind people what's happening with that.
Indeed.
If I can find the right thing to click, we'll be back in the room, and we are. Yes, so Smoke Without Fire. Keep up your support. It's going great. It can be better. And I can't wait to see some stuff coming out. Now, Andy's already started spending the money, you said?
He has, yes.
So we had a camera crew turn up with Daz at Safer Cigs on Friday, I believe.
We did indeed, and it's even hit the webulation already. Ooh. Look at this. Bob Walter, MP for North Dorset.
Right.
Hurtling off down there, so it's all over his website.
Brilliant.
And I love this. I realise that electronic cigarettes have been of real benefit to some people who are trying to give up smoking, and this government is committed to encouraging tobacco, supporting them to do so. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, you know, it's all good stuff.
Fantastic.
All good stuff. You can't complain at that at all.
You really can't. You really can't. Right, okay, let's just, you know, just want to say well done to Andy on that. It's been brilliant. I've got a little bit of a VT because I'm going to change the subject totally, and your Skype feed's gone a bit wobbly.
Has it?
So this is a good time for me to take the screen here, I think. And click the right thing, and then I go full screen again, and there it is. It's good. So right, this is. I bought one of these ultrasonic cleaner things to solve a little problem, and a bit earlier today, I decided to give it a go, and this is what happened.
I use almost exclusively metal drip tips. I like them. I've got all different shapes and sizes of metal drip tips, and I just prefer them to like the plastic ones and what have you. But there is a downside to using metal drip tips, and I'm going to attempt to show you this now. You may be able to see around the top of there, you do tend to get this sort of cruddy build up of, well, what is it? It's probably a bit of e-liquid and a bit of skin and dribble and stuff, and it's a bit unsightly, and it's probably not very hygienic to leave it on there. Now, a drip tip is not the easiest thing in the world to clean. It's a bit of a fiddle. I mean, okay, hot water and sort of washing up liquid will generally shift it, but that's too much hassle. And it was last weekend. I was actually out shopping, and I've got a watch with a metal strap, and I noticed that the strap was horrible as well. And then it just suddenly occurred to me, something I saw a long time ago on the Witching Hour on Vapor Trails TV, and Kat and Sav were using an ultrasonic cleaner. And I recalled that a number of people who are vapors are using ultrasonic cleaners, so I thought I'll order one. So sort of last Saturday night or something, I was talking in a hangout with Sav, and we found one on Amazon that looked like it was worth having. I ordered it. It arrived during the week. I've already cleaned my watch strap with it, and it's like new. But now I'm going to drop in a few drip tips and a bit of vaping related gear and see how well it works. Let's have a look at it. So this is the one I ended up getting. It cost me 20 something quid including delivery. It's the James Ultra 2000, and it's not branded in any way whatsoever, so I wouldn't be shocked if you could buy this with a number of different brand names on it. That's the way these things tend to work, isn't it? But there is a manual telling you mostly common sense stuff about what you can and can't put in there, and make sure you do read it. I mean, I did my watch, but my watch is waterproof, and it was evil. This was, it really was horrible. It had several years of build up of dead skin and sweat and soap and grime, and it was actually getting uncomfortable to wear. It was that horrible. And I literally put it through the cleaner once. It has a 3-minute cycle, and it's come out, and as far as I can recall, it was like this when it was brand new and I took it out of the box. I've also done my other watch. Like I say, make sure they're water resistant though before you chuck your watch in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of drip tips that need a good clean. And if I can just separate that from the AGI for a second, you can see probably it is quite sort of cruddy and nasty. I'm going to chuck a couple of others in there as well, I think. This is an aluminium one that's a bit mucky. I don't think that's been cleaned since I came back from Germany. This one, it's another Super T drip tip, and it's on the outside it looks nice and clean, because like you can sort of scrape it clean, but if you look inside, you're not going to see this, I don't think, on the camera, but put it this way, it's evil. When you look at it down there, it's very difficult to clean. I mean, you can get a cotton bud or something down there, I'm sure, but it's this should be a lot easier. So the way it works is you take the lid off. I've plugged it in, obviously, whilst my hands were dry, and then this is like warm water. It says you want hot water, but so it's bearable that you can put your finger in it, you know, you don't want it sort of boiling. And inside the unit there's a little max line. I'm going to fill it to just below there, because I don't need much water in there really for a few drip tips. And in the instructions it advises you that if it's particularly, whatever you're cleaning is particularly grimy, it's worth putting a bit of detergent in there. Detergent to you and me, of course, being washing up liquid. So I'm just going to put just literally a couple of drops in there. We don't want much. We don't want to turn it into a bubble bath jacuzzi thing. And literally what you've got to do is I'm going to lie them on the side so the water will actually circulate and go through the middle of the tip and clean it inside as well. In they go. And I'll see if I can get a camera shot of that once it kicks off. And the unit it's got 2 buttons on and off. You hit it on and it runs for a 3-minute cycle, by which time I think these will be clean, but if not I'll do it a second time. So put the lid on. Before I do that, I'll show you the drip tips lying inside. Hang on. Right, so with the camera resting on my shoulder, you can see the drip tips inside. I'm going to put the lid on. It's hard to do when you've got a camera pressed against your eye. And press the on button. Here it goes. It makes that buzzing sound. And you basically just wait for 3 minutes. Okay, that's finished. Let's have a look and see what's inside now. Well, unlike when I did my watch strap and there was like this horrible scum floating on the top, that doesn't seem to be the case here. But what I'll do is I'll just put this piece of tissue paper here and lift them out one by one. Now, the aluminium drip tip was pretty mucky when I put that in, and that looks absolutely spotless now. Look at that. It looks nice. This is a good test of it for me. I'm just giving a little swill in the water there. It's probably I found this with the watch strap as well. Is like the cleaner like loosened up a lot of the stuff that was on there, but I actually ran it under the cold tap just to wash all that stuff away. And just let it dry naturally. But I can see in there, I know you probably didn't see what it was like before inside because it's difficult to get light inside there, but that was horrible inside and now it looks like new. It's absolutely clean. There's a whistle in there with a fairy liquid bubble. And this one, where we had all the crud built up around the edge, again is like it was when it arrived from Cloud9 last week, like new. I'm going to leave this thing, I think, permanently set up somewhere on the corner of the desk or something. Apparently it will work with cold water, but works better with warm water, but it made such light work of these. I'm thinking maybe I'll try it with cold water at some point, and then whenever something needs cleaning, chuck it in, done. And that has worked an absolute treat. I think I'm going to get some use out of that. I can use this for cleaning atomizer parts. I've just noticed there's another drip tip there. This is a Pure Smoker zip tip, this one. Another one of my favourites. Again, it's all cruddy, so that's going in. You get the idea. So yeah, theoretically you could do sort of 306 atomizers and 510 atomizers and things like this. Make sure you dry them properly, but there's no reason why it shouldn't give an atomizer a good clean and lengthen the life of it. So yeah, I'm so far very pleased with this little investment. I'll just do that drip tip because I can. Back to me in the studio.
And there you go. So, okay.
You see, the thing, I know Kat's got one and Sav's got one of those ultrasonic.
Indeed, I discussed with Sav before I ordered it, actually, yeah. They're bloody brilliant.
Well, yes, but they're very, very noisy. And I went up to see Kat one time, and I was stood outside the door for 3/4 of an hour. I didn't dare ring the bell. I didn't know what she was doing. That's me dead.
You're dead. You are a
Absolutely.
dead man. Well, I was watching some of the comments in chat there, and there were quite a few oohs, you know, E, and then lots of W's, and there was some far worse stuff than that, frankly, which I would not
have you
dream
seen
of.
the excuses she's coming up with now? The camera picks up the vibrations.
Oh dear, oh dear. Redneck says it was nice knowing you, DD.
Oh, yeah, she knows where I live. I forgot.
But I have to say, absolutely brilliant piece of kit. I saw people saying you could put it in the dishwasher, and yeah, you know you can. You get like a cotton bud, or what Andy would call a Q-tip because he's American. And you can use the alcohol wipes and everything, and they're all a great idea. But you can't get, most drip tips are not just hollow. I mean, if you take these Super T ones and everything, they're like tapered inside.
Yes.
And you know they are very, very sort of carefully machined. So there's a little edge idea being you don't get juice in your gob. You know they are tricky to clean and far too much faff when you can literally just chuck them in there. Press a button, you know. So
well, yes.
I'm very, very pleased with it. I'm going to try a few old atomizers, not because I need to revive any, but you know, just as an experiment, really. But yes. I'm just looking at the that little wooden sort of board thing I've got with the drip tips and bits and bobs on there, and there's a few things I could do with the clean. The drip cup adapter thing. And the Penelope, you know, people were going, it's horrible. But the fact is, if you use these metal drip tips, they do get this build-up of stuff. I guess it's a bit of skin and a bit of e-liquid and, don't know, a bit of snot probably.
Lip crud. Lip crud,
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, if anybody's interested, I can send them some to analyse. But you know, and I mean, let's be honest. You know, if it builds up enough, you know, and you can actually taste it, and it normally tastes quite nice because it tastes of the flavour of your e-liquid.
Yes, I've discovered that.
It's like digestive biscuits in my case.
Well, it'd be RY6 in mine, and I must admit, on a Thursday night, because we do swap stuff around so much, I make sure all the drip tips are scrupulously clean, and it takes a hell of a lot of time to do it.
It does.
I think I might have to get one of those and just drop everything in before.
I've probably chucked the invoice as I normally do with these things.
Got me cleaning everything now.
But I think it was 30 quid. I think.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, but they got them for half that money, and they've got them for like hundreds. You know, like these industrial things. You know. But I thought that might be a bit of overkill for a couple of drip tips. Yeah,
very good on your glasses as well.
Yes. The little manual that came with it does talk about cleaning glasses. You know, you cut and jewellery, and as I say, what tipped me over the edge to buy it was this watch strap. I'll just hold that up to the camera. It's one of these typical metal linked watch straps. And it was evil, and I've tried cleaning it with wipes and everything, but you can't get down in between the links very well, can you?
No,
you know, if you wash your hands without removing your watch, you get soap and everything in there, and you know, they just get horrible, don't they?
Yeah, so, and if you've been going out with a lass from Hendon, God only knows what you'll get.
Yes, saying nothing. And
Ed West says next subject.
Changes, moving along swiftly. But some of the things it says you can clean in it here, you've got watches and glasses, sunglasses, watch chains, necklaces, rings, bracelets, electric toothbrush heads.
Buy a new one.
Well, that's electric shaver heads, razor blades. Oh, come on. Ultrasonic cleaning a razor blade. That's the definition of cheap, innit?
Isn't it just?
Combs, toothbrush, dentures. You can do your dentures in them, Dave. You can do your dentures in them.
Say again?
You can do your dentures in them, apparently.
No, I can't.
Ensure that all items are waterproof and non-porous. printer heads, printer cartridges, fountain pen nibs, wax or rubber stamps.
Eh?
CDs and DVDs. Now, I'm not being funny, but you couldn't fit a CD or a DVD in there. But why would you want to wash one?
Well, I don't know. I know as a mate of mine's got a Prince Albert, and he tried washing that in the Ultrasonic, but he forgot to take it out first. Apparently, it was an enjoyable experience.
Oh, God. Oh, dear. Did the bubbles tickle was one thing I just read as it scrolled off there. If you put your private parts in it, oh, it just fortunately scrolled off.
Yes. Would the wife? No, I'll leave that.
Yeah.
And Kat said, you'd better, Doug. So it's not just us then. Gillis is in the corner. How are you, son?
We're all going to hell.
Because we're dead.
Yeah, no, but I have to say that, you know, I think that's going to get plenty of use. And you can buy, like, sort of, like, cleaning stuff to put in it. Double strength cleaning solution. So that's probably like twice as much fairy liquid.
Yes.
All the washing up liquids are available.
Milligram juice?
Sorry?
Is that like 45 milligram juice?
I guess so. I guess so. But,
I tell you what, I wish this loud atomizer would work properly. I'm getting note out of it.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's performing particularly well.
Rubbish.
What is it?
It's, believe it or not, it's the AGI in Genesis mode.
Right, which is exactly what I've got on here, actually. But
yes.
Mine's not producing like that.
Ah, well, there you go.
I mean, it's not bad. It tastes damn good. It goes so well with that beer.
Oh, I tell you what, man, I've just sunk a pint of cider while I've been sitting sucking on that.
Well, I'm pacing myself on this point because I haven't brought any more up with me.
Oh, dear. Well, you've not got long to go.
Eh?
There's not long to go.
That's true. That's true. That is something. Anyway, so we've got what was I going to say there? I got it. I'm just going to run a little trailer for our other shows. And that's it, we've run out of time, and it's a good job because it looks like Dave's house is on fire.
It's not.
Say good night, Dave.
Good night, Dave.
And thanks very much, mate. Appreciate having you on as usual.
Anytime, you know. No problem.
Good night, everybody, and thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.